Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live event on Moldova. This discussion is organized in partnership with Pulse, a European collaborative network we are very proud of. Thank you so much for joining. We'd like to very warmly thank Voxeurop's donors and shareholders for their support. It enables us to keep hosting such events, keep translating, publishing quality journalism, throughout investigations, great cartoons, and last but not least, stay independent. We have a tradition at Voxeurop. Please write in the chat where you're based today. I am Catherine André, editorial director, co-founder of Voxeurop, and I'm based today in Paris.
Hello, I'm Gian-Paolo Accardo, the editor-in-chief and co-founder of Voxeurop, and I'm currently in Paris as well. So the 16th of June marked a turning point for Moldova. With the approval of the EU27, the EU membership negotiations were officially opened alongside those for Ukraine. The first phase will focus on the rule of law, democratic institutions, and fundamental rights. Since its invasion of Ukraine and later its meddling in Moldovan elections, Russia is widely seen as a menace in this former Soviet republic. On the EU side, Moldova is expected to join the Democratic Shield initiative launched by the European Commission lately, but public opinion nonetheless remains divided in certain regions of Moldova, and we'll discuss this in a moment. So let's first introduce our guests. Anita Bernacchia, you are an Italian-Romanian freelance journalist and an editorial translator. You have written about European politics and Eastern Europe for several news organizations, including Voxeurop, L'Inchiesta Europea, and EUnews.it. Oxana Bodnar, you are a journalist for the Moldovan channel Exclusive TV and a correspondent for the Romanian news outlet hotnews.ro from the Republic of Moldova. You also cover topics related to Moldova, of course, as well as the war in Ukraine, Russia, and the former Soviet Union.
We will start with some fresh news. On the 3rd of July, Prime Minister Alexandru Munteanu resigned amidst allegations of corruption in a state-owned aviation company. Could you tell us a bit more about that? Oxana, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you for question. Thank you for organizing this event. Really, we have a very maybe suitable time now this discussion because our country, Republic of Moldova, is now maybe in political crisis. We will see how will be find a solution. Really, that Mr. Munteanu resigned today morning. We had event which was planned more before, and Mr. Munteanu had first declaration except his publish on Facebook. If to say concrete with fact, not with some rumors or some opinions why it happened, we can say that officially the reason of this resignation wasn't said very sure, but Mr. Munteanu said that 90% of all supposition in internet public space is lie. We know from sources that now 2 weeks approximately Republic of Moldova, the media of Republic of Moldova talking about corruption scandals, the image of our president Maia Sandu. We don't say that this is direct accusation, but her cousin was involved in very big scandal because of money she took from one state institution, which she even didn't work for this institution, Space Control, Moldatsa. And this is a cousin of Maia Sandu. Our president well know that she is against corruption. She living from salary, and a lot of international journalists was showing her like example of European leader, honest European leader. But now we have this unprecedented scandal. Not her implication, but her relative, which was with her in Minister of Education when she was Maia Sandu was in the function of Minister of Education. And now this resignation of our Prime Minister, the reason that this scandal, this is main reason we can't say this. because other sources say that Mr. Munteanu, which is not political candidate, wasn't political candidate. He entered in conflict with the political forces in Party of Action and Solidarity, PAS, party of our majority in parliament, which was founded by Maia Sandu. And the reason that Mr. Prime Minister, now ex-Prime Minister, wanted to control all state institution to see how is the real situation in this institution. If these investigations showed that the Moldova control airspace institution has like these problems. Cousin of Maia Sandu is not the only one problem. There are a lot of people who took salaries and different primes, how to say, additional payment for nothing. And there are a lot of investigations which confirm this. And this is very big problem. And we can say, and I used to say only things which I know as journalist, but we can't not to talk about this reason, hidden reason, that Mr. Munteanu didn't want to associate, probably, with all these scandals, and he have written on his post on Facebook that he couldn't continue to be in this function because it wasn't with according to his principle. Maia Sandu, our president, said in conference Friday that it isn't true, and all this accusation he wasn't free in his action, it's lie. But we see that this resignation happened, and now this week Maia Sandu must organize consultation with political parties from parliament to find a new candidate for prime minister. We all understand that this candidate will be only from political party Action and Solidarity, which was with heads majority and which was voted already Mr. Munteanu. The question is, will be this technocrat candidate or a member of political party PAS? And a lot of people saying that, experts saying, I mean, that it must be someone from political party for assume all political decision inside our country. Because we had a very big scandal same time with the project of tax policy, which was changing, is going to change. Now it's put it on pause. But this document was going to change a lot of things, very hard things for people, business, and these things must assume political party, not technocrat who will go and will not respond. Like this, experts saying, and the reason we should see what will happen in these days. This is very important period now for our country. A lot of rumors. I think I shouldn't repeat all rumors or sources which saying supposition like these things. The fact is that the country is in crisis. Image of majority party is in crisis because of this investigation, and we can't say that now it's lie or Russian manipulation. We will talk about this probably because all this. It's interesting that we had 2 years of election, and all problems wasn't Russian propaganda should use this fact. Russian propaganda used fakes. But now we see confirmed facts, unfortunately, that there is scandals. There is one more scandal, for example, with the minister of, not minister, but secretary, state secretary from Minister of Agriculture, which was arrested for 30 days for she's suspected in corruption. A lot of things which must be now analyzed, and the fact this crisis of image, of trust, because people now put question. This party came, this second mandate came with the promise that if they will be different than previous, they will fight corruption. We are candidate for enter in the European Union, and these things very hard attack for political elite of our country, I think.
We said you're based in Brussels, Anita, and we know that in Brussels, Maia Sandu has a huge kind of fan base among the institutions, be it the parliament and also the council of that represents the member states. So do you think that this scandal will have an impact on Maia Sandu's image and action within the EU and overall on the EU accession negotiations?
Thanks for organizing this debate about Moldova's destiny. Of course, the situation is quite complex, and as my colleague said before, it is very easy to let ourselves go to suppositions as well, but we shouldn't. Of course, it is quite significant the fact that this scandal comes just 2 weeks after the first cluster of EU negotiations was opened. Actually, about President Sandu, who is very popular in the diaspora in Brussels, but in many other countries. I don't think this will affect her as a leader, as she continues to be perceived by the citizens and also by a huge part of Moldovan citizens in Moldova, I think, as a very honest politician. She also has said that in the last few days that she earns her salary honestly. Of course, any politician could say that after such a scandal, but now she has an international stand that is quite reassuring for both for Moldovans and both for Europeans. She was leading the party. She founded the party, the Action and Solidarity Party, until before she came to the office in 2020. Now the party is led by someone else, by the president of parliament. So this scandal is happening not under her leadership, we can say. Of course, it had an impact on her personally, on her entourage, because there was a family member involved who was working as a spokesperson for this aviation enterprise, Moldavia, and that was enjoying an ever higher salary from, I mean, in 6 months, it almost doubled or something like that, something like 6,000 euros. So quite a lot. But here the issue was that she was being hired without taking any public competition. And so this is quite a problem. Sandu said she was not aware of her behavior, that she did not recognize such a behavior, and that she always tried to earn her life honestly, and that is the message that she's trying to convey to Moldovans, because now she says we have to be a team, united, and that our main objective is joining the union. Actually, she announced a package of measures to clean up the state-owned companies. That includes a lot of measures like reducing the members in the board of directors, reducing salaries, of course, and many other. Of course, there are her reaction was very firm in condemning what happened. And of course, the opposition tries to take advantage of this situation. Commentators, disappointed citizens are blaming the party, and they are blaming the fact that no official, no party, big official or high level official is resigning. Actually, there were quite a few resignations. The president of the Economic and Budgetary Committee resigned from his role as president of the committee, but not as an MP. So this was quite controversial because he was also very well involved, very involved in this scandal, the aviation enterprise. So there is a lot of disappointment, but I don't think this is toward the president.
I'd like to ask actually to both of you maybe the more general context in which this is happening. So if you could maybe give us an account of the political and social situation in the country at the moment for maybe people who don't know Moldova so well. Would you like to start, Oxana?
Yes, thank you. The most important event which happened and which we expected very much, this is opening first cluster of negotiations with the European Union for adhesion. We were waiting this very much. We were waiting some changes, political changes in Hungary. It could happen after election, and now we could open with the Ukraine this first cluster. This was very important. As I said, you internal people waiting very much, and according to a lot of studies, surveys, people most than 50, 55, even 50, 60% of people waiting, and this is the main a way to develop our country, and the most important, to protect our country from eventually dangers which can come from Russia. In this region, we are leading more than 4 years near country which is in full large-scale war, and we understand and increasing the number of population who is supporting adoration of Republic of Moldova in the European Union.
We saw in international community could see it in the last elections in 2024, 2025, but already 2021. Moldova is quite polarized as regards EU support, and so it's not an homogeneous support across the country. And surveys actually they may change a lot according to the situation. For example, when there is a corruption scandal or something like that, such support, each time the support decreases. Generally, in June, in June there was a survey. The most recent one says that 57-58% of Moldovans actually support EU membership, and they see Europe as a very good idea. But a few months ago, when they were asked if they would vote to join the EU in a referendum, a few days later, less than 50% said that they would vote to join the EU. So it's very uneven, and it's related to the fact that I believe, in spite of all the connections that Moldova has with Romania, with EU member states, also thanks to the fact that many Moldovans have Romanian or Bulgarian citizenship because of the EU, actually, there is not the feeling of a European identity yet. Of course, more among the younger generation, and this has an impact on service. So they see the EU as a good idea, that it's good to join the EU, mainly generally because of the economic opportunities that you can work and study in another country. But the feeling of a European identity is not there yet. And there are many people who are still nostalgic about economic integration with Russia, and so it's very polarized, and of course very different according to the territory, to the region, the age, the language, and so on. Ethnic groups.
Can we go a bit more in detail on who is actually supporting EU accession and within the Moldovan society? Also, with regards to what you said, just said, Anita, regarding the European identity, probably it's I don't know if it's something in the forging, but in at least in Chisinau, you would see as many European flags as you would see in Brussels, to some extent. So maybe officially Moldova is already there, but yes, what's the let's say within the country, how are people seeing this path towards accession, Oxana?
Mhm. I absolutely agree with Anita about polarization of our society. In August, September, with my colleagues from Hot News from Romania, they came to Moldova for stay here almost 1 week, and I showed them how polarized and different our opinions in our country. We prepared and some reports before election previous year. There is no very sure if we will separate people who talk only Russian and they don't support integration in European Union. This is wouldn't be very correct and true. I will explain why. For example, of course, we have this region, autonomy Gagauzia, which supporting for European Union is very, very little because of Russia propaganda. This is very clear. Our authorities took a lot of measures against Russia propaganda. All TV channels are forbidden here. A lot of restriction on site and media, but people are searching this because they are ready to receive this information. And if you allow me, I will say example of my family because I am half Ukrainian, half Russian. My family, and I see on my relative this, unfortunately, age after 60, after 55, like this. People are searching information on planchette, notebook, telephone, which is more comfortable to receive. they don't have, they're not ready to receive other information. Even I was, for example, 2 times in Ukraine, 2022, 2023. I will not say which from my relative, but me who was seeing Bucha with my eyes, who was seeing Kiev destroyed, some buildings destroyed with my eyes, filming this with my phone and cameras of my cameraman, and they don't believe. This is very clear with photos and videos and people who is my phone recording. But not say abstract, but things about future, why European values are more important and more benefit for our country than which can propose as Russia. This is even more hard to convince
Yeah.
people. And unfortunately, they even don't understand that Russia invests in people who will help them to Russia, to Kremlin, to give propaganda further, more and more propaganda. They invest in worth of concrete people. For example, Bashkan, this government of Gagauzia region, which is now in prison, they didn't give any money for garden, for school there, for something road. Only European Union give. For example, if because I was filming a lot of time in Gagauzia, I don't know how to explain these people that Russia invest illegally, political party, political leaders, giving them money for they live good and transmit their propaganda more. European Union transmit and investing money in schools, in gardens, children gardens, in hospitals and other things. This is very maybe primitive, but very clear explication which you can touch. Not if you don't want to talk about values, abstract things, we can see these things. And for example, Gagauzia region, this is very clear and very well-known example why people don't believe, why I still didn't understand why, even they have very clear, and Turkey support. Turkey as country, as historical motherland for them, they support much more Russia, which didn't do nothing for them, only invested in money and wealth, good clothes, good cars for leaders who make propaganda there. But not only Gagauzia. There is, for example, we were in August 2025 with my colleagues from Bucharest. They came in Moldova, in Oknica. There is the most north part of Republic of Moldova, border with the Ukraine. And these people know that in border some kilometers there is war. That there is country which 4 years in war. A lot of relative of these people, local people, Naslavcha, this is a village. A lot of people have relatives in Ukraine. They're talking about war, but these people had their explication why they should continue to love Russia. There is no, like you maybe you know that there is doubt, there is no white and black. There is Zelensky's their affirmation. Zelensky is not so clear as you want to say, and we have this report in our hot news YouTube and on site, that people still believe that with Russia will be better because Russia is rich with the petrol, but we know what's happening now in Russia with petrol. I made just a few days before an article about this. Russia with petrol, Russia with a rich country, but rich is only Moscow and Petersburg. Other countries, other towns, villages, we know how we're living there. We know, but these people, I don't know how they know this, or how they accept this reality, or don't want to know this reality. Which, as conclusion, which I can say, people who consume Russian content still will be against of European Union, because a lot of fake, miserable, unexplainable fakes, but still continue to be continue to promoted by Russia propaganda in Republic of Moldova. And even TV is, as I said, TV channels long time before forbidden here, like Первый, Россия, 24, these channels forbidden, but people watching on YouTube. And this is not forbidden and can't be forbidden. A lot of social media still, but I saw, we with my colleagues saw on Chisinau, we was talking Voxes as Vox Populi, and there is a lot of native speakers of Romanian, Moldovan languages, as they say. They not support because of values. And we have this current in Romania, which can't be that they are Russians or something. They native speakers of Romania, but they are against of old Europe. That their narrative that European Union lost its identity, doesn't offer that values which were built before, and we don't have this how to say example of values and rules which exist before. That's why they don't say we must be with Russia, but they are against of European Union. And this is crisis of identity, maybe like this we can say, very hard to convince these people, because they say about sexual minorities, about very big taxes in these countries, about that we don't need that nobody in Moldova, that nobody needs Moldova in European Union, that everything will be destroyed here. I'm saying you narratives, of course this is not true, but I'm saying you narratives which are very promoted by Russia propaganda. And people have right to think how they want. This is very clear. They can have their opinion. But I would like, and this is difference, that I would like that we must understand if their opinion really built on some facts, they checked, they read, they meet these facts, and they build this opinion against European Union, or they were watching now this current of sovereignist current, which coming and from Romania, and now some parties, political parties, very speculate about this, or they really listen Russian propaganda, and not only Russian propaganda, but this current from Romania. And in this case, we must find not forbid to inform people from different sources, but must to provide them sources in which they can trust and understand reality, even for Russian speakers, because Russian speakers doesn't have so much alternatives, and maybe trust needs time for they can use. We have on public television news in Russian, for example, debates in Russian, but they are not enough, and they can't change this habit to use Russian sources of news. And
Anita, what is the likely timetable for new accession, and to what extent the EU accession negotiation with Moldova are linked to the Ukrainian ones? And is a kind of decoupling possible in case the war in Ukraine goes on much longer than the timetable that has been set for Moldova?
So I was speaking to the mission of Moldova to the EU like 10 days ago, so before the intergovernmental conference in mid-June. And so they were telling me about all the process and what they did to actually prepare for negotiations. So this blockage that was mentioned before in February 2025 with the Hungarian veto actually came down at the beginning of June. And because, of course, we had the Hungarian elections and Peter Magyar came to the power, so he has a more pro-EU stance, political stance, and this veto was, the situation was deblocked because, of course, it affected Ukraine and not, and indirectly Moldova. So Moldova, what they did, the authorities, was really to intensely work this 1.5 years. I mean, like as if they were actually preparing the real negotiations, but it was technical negotiations, so to say. So it was informal. So the first letter that should have been sent by member states in February 2025 was not sent back then, but just at the beginning of June. And so after this first letter from member states, where they ask the candidate country to provide a roadmap on how they want to proceed with negotiations, was sent, of course, very soon, because in the meantime, the authorities, both national authorities in Moldova and officials here in Brussels, had already prepared everything. They sent it right away, like they said, 10 minutes after receiving that. Then the second letter came, The second letter is also quite important because with this letter they are asking the candidate country to provide the negotiation position, so something already more substantial. And the reply was sent, and this was the actual deblocking of the situation for Ukraine and Moldova. And this brought to the 15th of June when the first cluster was open. So the first cluster is the first to be opened and the last one to be closed. It stays open for the whole negotiations. It includes policies regarding the judiciary, fundamental rights, financial control, freedom and security, but also democratic institutions and the reform of public administration. So the officials at the mission were saying that they would be able to close many chapters in very quickly because, for example, fisheries is not, Moldova doesn't have access to the sea, so it could be closed rapidly and so on for other clusters. So what about the timeline? They say they hope to open the 5 remaining clusters before September, and this was confirmed by Commissioner Kos for enlargement as being concretely possible. But of course, she also underlined the fact that this is a merit-based process and that everything should be considered with concrete results. And about the decoupling with Ukraine, the two countries, actually, there was a trio of countries at the beginning. There was Georgia as well in 2022. But in the meantime, Georgia stopped. The situation is stalling because of the political situation. And so Ukraine and Moldova, they progressed together. Now that the first cluster has been opened, so the stance of the Moldovan authorities is that they believe all should be merit-based. So if they can progress quickly, why not? Why not become the next member states? But of course, there is Montenegro as well, which is the most advanced, and that is hoping to sign the accession treaty next year, maybe, so to access formally in 2028, being the 28th member state. So we will see. I was reading somewhere that maybe two clusters could be opened, maybe environment and agriculture in the next months. But we will see actually what happens. Of course, the corruption scandal is not welcome at this point. But as I understand, the EU institutions stand with the Moldovan authorities at the moment because the situation is still evolving.
Thank you, Anita. Oxana, very quickly, if you have to say one date, 1 year for Moldova accession, what would be your bet?
I know that the proposal of political party, which have majority now in parliament, this is 2028. We must be prepared and close all negotiations, finish all negotiation, and 2030 we must be already member of European Union.
Okay.
I very hope that we will do this, but a lot of provocation, a lot of challenges on this way, and time really very short, very ambitious time. But we have, as I see, a lot of message first of support from Brussels, and this is very encouraging.
I would thank everybody for attending and participating in this live event. And thank you so much, Oxana and Anita, for being with us today. Many thanks again also to our supporters and shareholders who make this kind of event possible. Don't forget to subscribe to our weekly newsletter if you haven't already. It's free. And follow us on social networks. And if you can, please consider donating to support our work.
Please don't hesitate to share it around in your networks, and the next live event will be in September, and we'll keep you posted. Thank you very much to both of you and
Thank
to
you.
all
Thanks a lot.
people attending.
Arrivederci.